So you got your big machine out today.
I do, my big machine. I'm making some Hotch brownies because it's kind of a hodgepodge of ingredients that I can find. These are brownies that purists would scream at me for because they're not generally using melted chocolate. So they're a kind of a sort of a cheaper version to a certain extent of brownies using cocoa powder. And I know purists are not going to be happy with me, and I fully understand it. I take it on the chin. But they're quite nice and they're quite light. They're a slightly different brownie. But I actually don't have a lot of cocoa powder. So I'm having to hodgepodge with a little bit of other stuff. So we're going to see what they end up like. Could be a total disaster, could be completely delicious. Who knows? Who knows? I like it, it's a thrill. It's a thrill of the chase. Anyway, in here, I've got some sugar, quite a lot of sugar. I'm not going to tell you, we'll just put that up in the recipe because I don't want to hear the gasps from people when I say how much sugar's in here. And some eggs. I'm going to beat them up until they're really light and fluffy and pale and interesting. I'll switch this machine on first. Ah, plug. Helps, doesn't it? So, can you see how lovely and thick that is? So if you get it lovely and thick at this stage, it means that your brownies are going to be quite light and airy. And I know most brownies are sort of dense. These aren't dense, these are light and fluffy, a bit like me really. And dim. Anyway, in goes some melted butter. Now this is melted and then cooled butter, okay? I don't want hot butter going in here because immediately you're going to start cooking the eggs and we don't want that. So it's melted and cooled, but not so it goes back to being solid again. I mean, this is actually on the way to being solid again, but I think I'll just about get away with it in here. And then I'm just going to quickly, just don't go away, I'm just going to quickly throw this back, throw this all together. So that's now been beaten in. The next thing to do is to add your ingredients. So what we have is 100 grams of flour. That goes in. 100 grams, 100 grams, 100 grams, right. 100 grams of plain flour, okay? It's not a lot of flour. So again, if you haven't got a lot of flour at the moment, this could be the brownie to make. I always like to be helpful, don't I? Don't I, John? Helpful.
You do.
Yeah.
Helpful Lotte, you're known as.
Right, so 6 tablespoons of cocoa. 1. Oh, do you know I might have enough? 2. 3. 4. 5. Look at that, I actually do have enough cocoa. Brilliant. But I'm also going to add to that as well a little bit of vanilla extract. I think it went out date in April 2019, but I think it'll be fine because it's got alcohol in it and everything. It'll be lovely. It'll be fine. Don't worry. It'll be lovely. A teaspoon of baking powder goes in. I have to double check that's not bicarb. So a teaspoon of baking powder goes in, and also some of this. Now, I did BBC Good Food Show last Christmas, and I was demonstrating on the QVC stand, and Hotel Chocolat were one of their sponsors. It's not on there, it's on there. And they gave us a little goodie bag with sort of various bits and bobs in there. And this is a hot chocolate drink, but it's got shavings of chocolate in as well, so I thought it'd be quite nice to put some of this in, hence my hodgepodge. So we'll put, I don't know, 3 tablespoons of this in, so it's just giving us a little bit more richness. Now, all of that, I just inhaled it, all of that goes in. We're just going to gently fold it together. I have a folding setting. John's just mouthed etting at me, etting, Lotte. I have a folding setting on my Kenwood, so we'll just gently fold it in because all that air that I took a lot of time and effort and energy whisking into it, we don't want to lose by now overbeating it. So just gently stir it all through. Oh, we're going to turn it out. What do you think? Is that looking good, John? Very quiet this morning, my love.
No, in anticipation of chocolate brownies.
Are you excited? Do you like chocolate brownies? Would you go If there was a table of cakes and delectations, what would you choose first? What would your hand go towards?
Pastries first.
Really? I didn't know that about you. I didn't know you're a pastry man. What sort of pastry?
Almond croissant. Raisin twirly things.
Oh, what about yum yum?
That's probably going a bit too far.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you not like it? I like a yum yum. Do you know
A bit of
M&S?
chocolate right on your forehead.
I've got what?
Bit of chocolate right on your forehead.
Chocolate on my forehead. Any more? You know, I was talking on Twitter to Will Torrent, he's a friend of mine, and he was showing that M&S are doing cherry bakewell yum yums in their summer. I know. As I said to him, you had me at cherry. You really did, Will. That would be quite nice. But people think I have a very sweet tooth, but my confession is I don't actually have a very sweet tooth. I will always go towards something savoury before something sweet. Oh look, I've just got to make sure all of that's gone in. Just do it manually now. So, what I'm going to do now is stir the rest of the flour and cocoa that didn't quite make it in properly. There we go. And then I'm going to stud these brownies with raspberries, okay? Because I saw that we had some old raspberries hanging around in the freezer. And they've got to be used. All this stuff's got to be used. So a raspberry brownie is delicious. You've got that amazing acidity from the raspberry, which sort of cuts through the sweetness of the sugar and the chocolate, and it's really, really lovely. So you've got kind of a sweet, light brownie, and then you come across this acidic, tart bit of fruit. Really lovely.
It makes them healthier, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. It cancels all of the sugar out. It's very clever. So I forgot to say, I've just put this into, I think this is like a Swiss roll tin. Brownie tins are probably slightly smaller. I couldn't find my brownie tin. It's in the bowels of that tin cupboard. Has anyone else got a cake tin cupboard like ours, do you think? Where you actually can't find anything. It's all around the corner. Everything, nothing matches. Really got to have a bit of a sort out. And then what you do, so now these are just mushy bits of raspberry because obviously they were in the freezer. So I'm just sort of going to clump them together and poke them under there, the chocolate. Just dot them through. And then you'll come across these little morsels of heaven as you're chomping your way through the brownies. Now we're going to put these into the oven. Guess what temperature, John?
I reckon, excuse me, 180.
No, not today.
You did that on purpose.
I did. 160 today.
For how long?
About 30 minutes. Again, I will tell you when they come out. But it usually is about 30 minutes. Alright? Not too bad. I'm just going to poke that down a bit. Poke, 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 and bang them in the oven. And when they come out, they'll be so lovely. Out the oven, warm, out of the baking tray, sitting on a wooden block here. And I'm just giving them a little dusting of icing sugar. Legs with my little trusty thing. Do you remember the story about that? I swiped that. It's what's left from something I took from the place I trained in cooking with over 30 years ago, 35 years ago, longer probably. And it used to be a tea strainer, but it's broken over the years and I can't get rid of it. I love it, so I use it for my icing sugar. So it's been with me everywhere. Now, what do you think? Ideally, you don't cut these when they're still hot. You can mark them out, but because I have to try things just to make sure they're okay, I'm going to just take a little bit out so you can see this lovely raspberry in there. Can you see the raspberry? They smell good. Oh, and that raspberry smells all jammy. It's lovely. Oh, it's hot. Oh, no. I know these aren't the brownies like everybody is used to, but for a light and fluffy, ever so slightly cakey brownie with some lovely jammy raspberries in it. They hit the spot. They really do hit the spot. And I'd actually like, give them a go. Go on, give them a go. The ingredients, you should have most of them in your house. If you don't have that much cocoa, you can adapt and add other bits and bobs, but I'll put the recipe up on my YouTube. You can give it a go. It's another quick and easy recipe, and for the weekend.
How long do they go in the oven for in the end?
Oh yeah, 35 minutes. Exactly, actually. And that leaves them slightly squidgy in the middle, which is what we want.